Ever hummed the innocent nursery rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary to a child? What if I told you this seemingly harmless jingle might be steeped in dark historical events that you wouldn't dare whisper to a toddler? Get ready, because we're diving deep into the creepy legends and controversies that birthed this mysterious rhyme. Scotland in the 16th century, a misty land of castles and lochs. Mary, Queen of Scots, ascends to the throne as a mere infant after her father's death. Her youth, spent in France, is a labyrinth of political alliances forged by marriages and treaties. She marries Francis II of France, who dies young, plunging her into widowhood and the dark corridors of Scottish politics. Eventually, she marries Henry Stuart, better known as Lord Darnley. Their union, intended to strengthen claims to the English throne, unravels into a script of jealousy, power struggles, and ultimately, a mysterious explosion at Kirkhope Field that claims Darnley's life. The room where he slept was found in ruins, yet curiously, his body lay in the adjacent garden, unburned and garroted. As whispers of Mary's possible involvement with the sinister James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, begin to circulate, her reputation plunges into an abyss from which it never fully recovers. Now, shift your gaze to England, where Mary Tudor presides with a singular obsession: to restore England to Roman Catholicism. She is the daughter of King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and her early years are marred by her father's desperate quest for a male heir, leading to a series of annulments and marriages. Once crowned, Mary Tudor implements her plans with a fervor bordering on mania. The Marian persecutions, her violent attempt to restore Catholicism, results in the burning of nearly 300 Protestant heretics, earning her the moniker Bloody Mary. To think this queen, so consumed by the desire for a Catholic heir, becomes an icon of miscarriages and false pregnancies. The nation's anxiety hinged on the regularity of her menstrual cycle, every whisper of pregnancy causing either celebration or dread, depending on one's religious leanings. These two lives, lived in parallel but separate universes, serve as the backdrop for Mary, Mary, quite contrary, a nursery rhyme that veils more than it reveals. By digging deeper into their stories, we discover how each Mary could have been the inspiration for the rhyme, and perhaps find that the lines between the innocent and the sinister are perilously thin. Picture a labyrinth, endless winding paths that diverge and converge, challenging you at every turn. This is precisely what the nursery rhyme's line, "How does your garden grow?" accomplishes. For Mary, Queen of Scots, the term garden could denote her volatile relationships, sown with seeds of ambition and watered by deceit. Historical records reveal that she had a keen interest in botany and horticulture. But was this a mere distraction, or did it mask deeper, darker preoccupations? Think of her marriage to Darnley as planting a seed for a stronger political alliance, a seed that would ultimately wither and die. Or consider Bothwell, a wild vine creeping into her life, one that would ultimately ensnare her in a thicket of controversy. For Mary Tudor, the garden in question could be a graveyard of aspirations, watered with the blood of the Protestants she persecuted. Her relentless quest to bear a Catholic heir led to tragic miscarriages, effectively a barren garden. Some historians speculate that her lack of an heir and the ensuing Tudor succession crisis may well have been her ultimate legacy, a legacy symbolized by a garden that would never flourish. And what about the silver bells and cockle shells? These seemingly innocuous items take on a menacing glow when you consider their potential connection to torture devices used during the reigns of both queens. Silver bells were not merely jingling trinkets, but could allude to thumb screws employed to extract confessions. Cockle shells, far from being beachside curiosities, are reminiscent of the ghastly device known as the scavenger's daughter, a compression device that crushed its victims slowly. Now consider that these objects appear in a rhyme meant for children, a chilling irony that speaks to the enduring complexity of these historical narratives.
You probably have heard of the old saying, "The devil is in the details." In the case of Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Every word could be a trapdoor leading to an underworld of historical horrors. Each line, each phrase, is a potential key to a hidden chamber of meaning, making the rhyme a cryptic puzzle that tantalizes as much as it terrifies. What about Occam's razor, the philosophical principle suggesting that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one? But when it comes to deciphering historical enigmas like Mary, Mary, quite contrary, Occam's razor becomes a blunt tool, unable to cut through the layers of intrigue and speculation. Take, for instance, Mary Tudor and her affinity for burning heretics at the stake. Records from her reign don't specifically point to her employing silver bells or cockle shells as instruments of torture. Yet, could it be that these devices were part of the broader arsenal, their usage undocumented or perhaps intentionally omitted from public records to protect the crown's image? Alternatively, could they serve as metaphors, not for specific devices, but for the general aura of dread that permeated her reign? And let's not forget that nursery rhymes often served as coded messages or satire, offering common folk a medium to critique or mock their rulers without direct retribution. The ambiguity serves a purpose. It keeps the interpretation fluid, granting it a timeless relevance that transcends the specifics of any single era. This contributes to the rhyme's staying power, as each generation can find fresh meaning or theorize anew. The puzzle box of Mary, Mary, quite contrary, is like a many-sided die, each roll landing on a different interpretation, a new layer of complexity. In the final analysis, the rhyme's potency lies not just in its historical ties, but in its perpetual enigma, its enduring capacity to spark debates that captivate the imagination and probe the darker corners of history. Think of this nursery rhyme as a darkened room where each flicker of candlelight casts new shadows, creating an ever-changing tableau on the walls. The magic of Mary, Mary, quite contrary, is in its kaleidoscopic complexity, a simple set of lines that unfold into an intricate tapestry of possibilities. Just like in abstract art, where a splatter of color or a disjointed form can signify multiple meanings, this rhyme draws us into a web of speculation that is as rich as it is nebulous. You might have encountered the notion of the death of the author, a literary theory that argues the creator's intentions or original meaning are largely irrelevant to the interpretation of a work. This rhyme perfectly embodies that idea. It has outlived its creators and the specific historical context they might have had in mind, taking on a life of its own. It becomes a playground for intellectual curiosity, an unsolved mystery that beckons us to dig deeper. The beauty of its ambiguity is that it renders the rhyme eternally relevant. As new theories surface and old ones are debunked, the narrative continues to evolve. A rhyme that could have faded into historical obscurity instead becomes a living, breathing entity, adapting and transforming as it interacts with each new generation of inquirers. Is the rhyme an insidious commentary on the reigns of two different yet equally controversial queens? Or is it a snapshot of societal anxieties of its time, capturing the collective imagination and fears of people living under the rule of these powerful women? The answer, perhaps, lies in the eye of the beholder, allowing each of us to paint our own stories onto this rich historical canvas. So, as we ponder, as we delve, and as we explore the labyrinthine corridors that this rhyme opens up, we are not just passive observers, but active participants in the unfolding drama of its interpretation. We're invited to pick up a brush and add our own strokes to a narrative masterpiece that is perpetually a work in progress. Now it's your turn to play detective. Which of these theories convinces you? Or perhaps you've got an entirely different take on it. Either way, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. If this deep dive into the murky waters of history intrigued you, don't forget to hit that like button and let us know which nursery rhyme you'd like us to investigate next. Until then, keep exploring the obscure, questioning the known, and satisfying that relentless curiosity of yours. We've got more mind-bending stories to tell, more shadows to expose. See you in the next The Hidden History.